Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 66 in the book of Genesis. We're going to take another look at the Tower of Babel. It's from Genesis chapter 11, the first 9 verses or so. And we're going back to a time, we've talked about the genealogy in chapter 10. We're going to go to a time just before that. Why did the earth spread out? Why did the people spread out? Well, the tower tells us the people that got off the ark apparently were trying to stay together in one place, building a tower to reach to heaven in a bad way. And this tells us why people were scattered across the world. So a migrant people become stationary, and a city is built, Babylon is built, and they try to reach heaven. So the setting is in Shinar, which is in Babylon, and it's a plain where they build a mountain, which is this Babylonian, maybe ziggurat temple. They did have temples there that reached to the sky, even 300 feet in the sky. The problem is they had temples at the top, and the temples were not to the one true God. So they had some zodiac gods, but basically they had not the one true God. So Babylon is this symbol of pride, self-pride, idolatry, and then it's also the judgment of God upon pride and idolatry. Listen in here. This is Genesis chapter 11. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." And the Lord came down to see, which he always does in judgment, by the way. That's a little phrase from Scripture. The Lord came down to see, and the tower which the children of men had built. And the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, they have one language, and this is the beginning of what they will do, not an accomplishment in an evil sort of a way." Back to the text. "And nothing they propose will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord dispersed them from there over all the earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore its name was called Babel, because the Lord had confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord dispersed them over the face of all the earth. All right, so the people here are trying to make a name for themselves, that their whole identity is wrapped around it. Their renown and reputation is wrapped up with this, which means towards the worship of other gods that did not create them. And it sets the scene for God to disfavor the nations. Why? So that he could favor Israel. Why? So that he could go back to favor all the nations. We're going to get to that in Genesis chapter 12 when we introduce Abraham. So God came down. The Lord came down to see. Heaven forbid this should ever happen to you, because it's always done in judgment. And the irony here is they build up maybe 300 feet by archaeological records. They build up maybe 30 feet, 30 stories, but it is relatively futile. The problem, this building a tower 300 feet in the air, does it probably solve your problems of sin and death? They have a problem not solved with bricks. And so God comes down, let us go down. It's in plural. Maybe it's the reference to the Trinity, and scatters and confuses, and he thwarts mankind in this regard to get to the wrong God. So he's saying this is not the way, and probably also saying this is not the right God. This is not me. So there's this cost of rebellion, and that is this disunity of the nations. So those who have set their minds and hearts against and above God now have God set his will against them, and the consequence is this confusion of languages. So in Babylonian literature, Babili means the gate of God. And these people were trying to make a gate towards God, probably a small g there, not the one true God. And in Hebrew, so now we're switching over to Hebrew language. In Hebrew, Balal means confusion, and so the Hebrew name Babel sounds familiar. So Babylon basically means confusion in Hebrew. All right, so let's draw some conclusion here from the Tower of Babel. I think there's two problems. Number one is the problem of pride. There's a lot of me statements in there. We will do this. I will do this. And the second one is idolatry. So they build this, perhaps build this great tower, maybe 300 feet in the air. Why? Towards another god, towards worshiping sort of these self gods, these made up gods. God does not like that. So then the Lord spreads people out. So I think the teaching point for us is, let's be ambitious. I don't think it's bad to be ambitious and to want to build something, but our ambition needs to be in yielding, not in standing against God, but standing with God and yielding to Him, maybe in service and certainly in worship of Him, not worship of ourselves. So if we're going to build a tower, let's build a true tower for God in humility, not in pride. Thanks for listening.